YouTube! So we are back doing a series review this time. Thank you so much, Netflix. They gave us advanced screeners to the highly anticipated fantasy series Shadow and Bone. So it's actually based on the young adult series of books by Leigh Bardugo. So usually I'm the type of nerd who has read the books before I've seen the movie or series adaptation, but lately I haven't really been caught up with like the YA books that are coming out. I think over the years I have become more adult than young. Ouch. So honestly, going into Shadow and Bone, I actually did not know anything about the series except for what I've seen in the trailers. So and I guess I will be reviewing the series from that point of view, from someone who has not read the books and is kind of going into it blind, or for the first time rather. When I started watching the series, it's an 8-episode series. I was actually kind of overwhelmed with like all of the details. The world building is very extensive. There are a lot of details to go through, and for someone who's going into this blind, it was a bit overwhelming at first, but I just stuck it through, and eventually I sort of got of the gist of what was going on, and it was worth it because in the end I was really invested, and I was cheering for the characters by the end of the series. So yeah, I will be doing you guys a favor, and I'll be sort of discussing some of the mythos and the details in this very intricate world, but without any spoilers, so you don't have to worry about that. Shadow and Bone still has like some of the known YA young adult tropes that we are familiar with. Like we have the heroine who is sort of like the savior of the story. So in this case, it is Alina Starkov, who is played by Jessie Maylee. Okay, so she's an orphan, and when we meet her, she's become like a cartographer or a map maker. And okay, so I guess I should give you guys like the background already. So in Shadow and Bone, we have this kingdom or country, I'm not sure, of Ravka, and it's like divided into, we have this what they call the fold, which divides the country into East and West Ravka. So this is just from what I understand. Okay, so the fold is like this black evil place. So just kind of imagine it's a sea, a black sea, but like from the ground up to the heavens, it's like all black clouds, and there are like evil creatures, scary creatures living inside, known as Volcra. So yeah, so that's the fold, and crossing it is like risking your life basically, because this Volcra are very scary and mean, and they like kill people who try to cross the fold. So yeah, that's sort of like the setting of the film. And when we meet Alina, she's like a map maker, and she has her childhood friend Mal, who is like a tracker, and they are on one of those expeditions that like to cross the fold. So sometimes there are expeditions to cross to and fro, and for supplies or whatever, but it's really risky, so they are crossing the fold. So pause on that. So we have like one of the things that sort of confused me at first was in Shadow and Bone, we have these like Grisha, they're known as Grisha. So think of them like sort of as benders. So from Avatar: The Last Airbender. So they're like benders, so they can manipulate. Some of them can manipulate fire, air, water, and then we have like heart renders. So they can control your heart. So like they can slow it down, they can speed it up. So they're actually very handy when it comes to interrogating someone, because they can tell when someone's telling a lie. So, you know, among other things. So we have heart renders. I'm not so sure if they're also the same as healers, or the healers are like a whole different kind of Grisha. And then we also have a tailor who basically can change your appearance. She can fix you up. The tailors can fix you up and basically like make you look pretty, and, you know, apply makeup on your face with just a wave of their hand. So yeah, that's pretty neat trick. Okay, so these Grisha sort of, they're like, they are trained, so they're like sort of like army, I think. And crossing the fold, when you cross the fold, there are Grishas on board of the ship. So like when you cross the fold, you're on a ship, but instead of like sailing the sea, you're like crossing through this black mass of like dark clouds and everything from the ground up. It's like it's completely dark. So we have like the Grisha, I think they're called squallors, I'm not sure, who manipulate the wind and they like push the boat across. And then we have the Inferni, who like control fire, so like I think the defense. So in this expedition where Alina is with on the ship crossing, something goes wrong, and in order to save her childhood friend Mal, she unleashes this power that she didn't know she had. So it turns out that she can like manipulate or summon light. So she's like this legendary sun summoner who can basically like fight against the fold, or can survive the fold because of her light. So in other words, she's sort of like a Grisha. To find out if you're a Grisha, there's like a test that they do, but for growing up as an orphan, Alina didn't want to be separated from Mal, her best friend. So that's why they sort of like tricked the test. So they didn't know that. So she sort of cheated that she doesn't have powers, but really she has. So now that it's revealed that she's like the sun summoner, like everybody like wants her, because she can basically survive the fold, can fight the darkness and the evil that's there. So the kings want to meet her, and mafia people want to take her. So yeah, I guess that's how the plot goes. As you guessed, Alina and Mal, they're sort of like a bit like Katniss and Gale, the childhood friend. And then as I mentioned, we still have those similar YA tropes. So like the other part of the love triangle is General Kerrigan, played by Ben Barnes. So of course, Ben Barnes, for the younger ones, you would know him as Prince Caspian from the Narnia movies. And for us geeks, he really did a good job playing Jigsaw in season 2 of The Punisher. So he could play good guy, he could play bad guy. So what role does he play in Shadow and Bone? So I guess that's for you guys to find out. Alina is taken to see the king, and she's taken to like the school of Grisha to train, whatever. I also did a bit of reading after seeing the series, and I didn't know that. So we have the Shadow and Bone book, and then we also have a separate book, the Six of Crows. So it's like in the same Grisha verse, or the same universe. From these two books, the characters in here don't meet. But what they did, they changed it up a bit for the series. So they took the characters from Six of Crows and brought them to Shadow and Bone. So the characters from Six of Crows are like a group of bandits or thieves, led by, so we have Kaz and Inej and Jasper. So actually like that they added these characters, because they're actually a fun bunch. I actually like them more than Alina. So sometimes Alina can be too damsel in distressy, and sometimes just kind of like, I'm gonna strangle her because do something, or don't just come up there and cry. So but that's me. I'm just basing this on from what I've seen from the series. I really don't know how she's in the book, but anyways, Kaz and his group, they're actually very fun and interesting. I like their dynamic. So yeah, I think it was a good choice to bring them in, to keep things more interesting. So Kaz and his group, because there's like a bounty out for Alina, like a reward. So they're out to get that reward. So there you have them. And then there's another group of characters who like form another part of the story, and eventually all of these stories would intertwine. She's a heartrender. Let me just check my notes. Named Nina Zenek. In this Grisha verse, in this universe, so of course we have the Grisha and they have their powers and all, and then we have, I forget what what group of people they're called, but they basically don't like the Grisha. They think that they're witches, so they hunt them down and like force them to go on trial, even though it's basically fixed. So we have Nina, who is caught by one of these Grisha hunters, and one of the characters there, Matthias Helvar. So they basically are another unit in the story, and their their unit was actually kind of like the giddy Precious Hearts romance kind of like unit. So yeah, so there's still a bit of killing or giddy with these guys. So eventually all of these characters would like come together. These types of plots are always interesting. I guess I hope that like gave you an idea how the story is, because like I said, going into it blind and not knowing anything, I was like a bit confused at first. But yeah, so we have the Grisha, and then like we have these Grisha hunters who don't like them. So there are themes on prejudice and racism. And actually, reading articles about the series, I read that the author decided to change things up a bit. In the series, Alina is half Ravkar, half Shu. So she's like biracial. And well, you can see Jennifer Meili, she's obviously biracial. And the Shu are like a hostile people, and that's why people don't like Alina initially, because she's different, she looks different, but then suddenly she's the sun summoner, and then everybody likes her. So yeah, there are themes of racism and prejudice there, and we also see that with Nina and Matthias, because Matthias, all of his life is like taught to hate Grisha, that they're witches and whatnot. So we have that. And I love that the author decided to make the characters very inclusive. So we have Inej, half Hindi. Yeah, and wow, her waist is so small. Anyways, she has also a pretty interesting story. And Jasper is also biracial. And actually a lot of the characters in the series are bisexual, and it's not even something new or special. It's like in the Grisha verse, it's like common to be bisexual, nothing surprising about it. So yeah, that was an interesting direction to take. And it's not even like it's forced, it's natural. So they took that kind of direction with that. So it's good actually. And well, the characters are very diverse, and they represent a lot of different people and cultures. So that was also a refreshing viewing experience. And actually reading more on about Shadow and Bone, the author actually based the setting in like Russia. So that was also different. So I guess that would explain like the structure, the architecture of the setting there, and also the costumes of the characters. Speaking of costumes, I would have to applaud like the production design and the costumes and the graphics. The series is actually very well made, so there's no cringy CGI, except probably sometimes when Alina glows up it kind of gets weird. If you, well, definitely if you are a fan of Shadow and Bone, I'm sure you guys have been waiting for this series. The trailer already has like more than 2 million views because, you know, I guess fans just can't get enough of it. I'm sure you guys are watching this one. It drops on Netflix April 23. If you're a fan of like the fantasy genre series, and you should also check it out. It can be overwhelming. Like I said, the world building is very, the mythos is very specific, very, there's a lot going on. So maybe you could read up a bit. And if you're watching this, I hope it also helps prepare you. So I guess you already have an idea like about the Grisha and you know, well, the going ons in this universe. So yeah, I won't be revealing anymore. There's actually some twists and turns in there. So yeah, Shadow and Bone comes out April 23 on Netflix. Thank you again, Netflix, for the early screeners. I'm actually interested to read the books now. So if you have any leads, like even like a second-hand copy, let me know. Because you know I checked online and it's actually, I'm still on a wish list, so there's nothing available currently from the bookstores. So yeah, that is it. I hope you guys like the vlog. Keep safe, and we will see you soon. Okay. Don't forget Shadow and Bone, April 23 on Netflix.